And at that point, Roland and I said, he's our child. If he's gonna die, he's gonna die in our home. We are not bringing him back. I hate to say that, but I'm going to say it. His crib, of course, was in the middle of the room because you could have Mark touching anything because it was poop everywhere, in his hair, in his face, in his...
Mark!
No, that was because I had such bad diarrhea.
Every time.
It came out of my... It came out of my my diapers.
I would put diapers,
and you couldn't put diapers I would have had that diaper all over my body. Because I mean the diarrhea was like liquid, like shooting like milk out of my butt.
Yeah, it was just terrible.
And I was covered in diarrhea.
And every time that you could...
horrible. Poor mom too.
Yeah, it was a hot mess.
That's a lot.
Okay.
So that was... So was that me subconsciously making a mess, and then later I was going to make a mess?
No, your first word was made a mess.
I know. Well, not words, but that was my first sentence. It was in my baby book.
Made a mess.
Made a mess.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no, it was probably mom, but then my first phrase that was in my baby's book was made a mess.
Made a mess.
Yeah. And I proceeded to do that for a good part of my life. Yeah.
Yes,
made a
mess.
Even of your life.
Right. Well, not now, but yeah, there was a long period when one would have thought "made a mess" described my life.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to start with the conversation about when I was diagnosed and the whole Stanford thing. And then we're going to talk about once you took me home, the diarrhea in the crib, all of that stuff.
Oh, you wanted to do that.
Yeah, because it's never going to be like that again. CF is never, like 40 years from now, people are not going to remember that's the way it was. And then mistent and the treatments, and that's it.
So when I was pregnant to have another baby, and Mark was sick and he was losing weight. So I wanted to find out what was wrong with him before I had the new baby. So I put him in the special hospital in Stanford, and that was a very just medical. Mark was not a name, he was number 432. So that was the way it was. So, and I didn't like that at all. And they were not taking care of the children over there. They were supposed to, but they were not, because they were just medical stuff. So the poor little guy had diarrhea, something terrible, and they would let him all messed up. I would go see him, and he had diarrhea in his, rubbed in his hair and his face, all his clothes, the bed sheet and everything. It was so gross. And of course, I was not going to stand for that. I got mad quite a few times at the doctors and the nurse and everything, enough that they didn't allow me to go see him anymore. They were just allowing Dad to go see him. So, but finally, I think it took almost 6 days before they told us that he had cystic fibrosis. And at that time, it was the name cystic fibrosis was very new. It was not known really, and they didn't know what to do to treat him or anything like that. But we went through the process. After we came home, the doctors and the nurse came and set up a mist tent on his bed. And that was every time that we put him to sleep, we had to put the zipper down and put him almost in a little cage, and start the mist.
What was the mist like? Was it a
Just
machine?
water in the machine. He
Yeah.
had a big machine next to the bed.
And it was like sterilized mist. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It had
And there was
to
like a
yeah,
tube
yeah.
that went in?
Yeah, mine.
No, it came. Where did it come out of? I don't even
with
know.
a tube. Way
Oh,
at
it
the
did
top.
at the top. Okay. I
Way
don't-
at the top. And it would come in like a big fog.
Yeah.
When the zipper was closed and Mark was in it, it was like he was in a white fog. That's
Wow.
all. You couldn't barely see the baby once the place
Wow.
would fill up with the, and his hair would get all wet like he had a shower. All
Yeah.
the clothes that you put him in was very wet when you took him out and things like that. All the
Wow.
bed sheets and the bed blankets, and because I felt that he was so skinny and so little that I had to put a blanket on him. To clean the tent, to disinfect the tent every time that the baby would come out of the bed, all soaking wet. First of all, you give him a shower because you rinse all the everything, and you putting, and you dress him up really warm because he was cold all the time.
Oh,
And after that, you clean the mist tent. You remove the plastic tent completely, and you stretch it out on a big table that I had set just to take care of Mark's tent. And you have to wipe it all with vinegar and water, but mostly was just vinegar, but to really kill apparently all the germ. So, and I would do that every time that he would get out of bed. And you remove all the sheets and all the pillows and everything. Really, I got to the point that I didn't give him any pillows.
Oh, yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
pillows was an attraction for germ and
Sure.
for stuff like that. But when you would get him out, a lot of time he had diarrhea while he was sleeping or things like that, because he had diarrhea all the
Sure,
time.
yeah.
So the whole thing was messed up with diarrhea. There was no way you could put him back in the tent without all cleaning
Yeah.
it.
So what ages was he that he had to be in the tent?
Oh, he had to
From-
be in the tent when he was, as soon as they diagnosed him,
Till what age do you think?
until we moved over here. He was 6
How old?
years
6
old,
years old.
5 years old.
Wow, that is a
Yeah.
lot of time.
So, but as he grew up a little bit,
Wait, before we get into that, so after I was diagnosed at Stanford, all they told you to do was to give me medication every time I ate.
yeah,
right?
but that was until the doctor and the nurse came to set up the mist tent. They just told me, just make sure that you give him his medicine at least 3 times a day. So I would crush 5 pills. Those were
Yeah, those big horse
yes.
pills. Yeah.
I would crush them and mix them with my milk.
With you were
Yeah.
breastfeeding at the time.
Yeah.
Wow,
So-
that is a lot of work.
So-
Especially how many times a baby eats a day.
Yeah. Once I was relaxing and have time, I would just put the pump and
Yeah.
pump as much as I could,
Sure.
So that's what I did. So, it was what I had
Enormous
to
amount
do.
of energy and time,
And I had treatments where you put them upside down, side up, and feet down, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was 7 position that you had to put in, and you
And you
clap.
use like a wedge, like one of those wedge
Yes, yeah,
things.
yeah. You clap your hands, and you have to make sure that you have your hands cupped and to a very smooth and even ritual. You can't go like that or like that. You just have to go very smooth. And you do that for an hour. The treatment lasted an hour. By the time
Twice a day, though.
twice
in
a
the
day
morning.
in the morning, and I was lucky because he was waking up very early. And children with cystic fibrosis did not sleep much. Okay, he was awake a whole lot, but at the same time, you had to make sure that you would give him his treatment and you would put him in his tent. So as he grew up and a little bit bigger, I would put him in his tent with some Lego pieces.
Oh yeah, keep him
for
busy.
him to keep him busy, so he had to stay in the mist tent.
Right.
But again, those Lego pieces,
Had to be cleaned.
every time that he would get out of the bed had to be disinfected and cleaned.
In order to get me to do my treatments, you used to
Oh,
do this
in
thing,
order,
so-
sometimes, of course, children, they didn't like to be restricted to the certain position. So I would tell story. We would visit all the country and have fun visiting different countries. So, when I had time again, and I would read something funny in different country. It had to be funny because I had to make him laugh, because that was something that we had to do.
But you
I
just
remember
knew
we
it was
went to
happening.
Canada a lot.
Yeah, we went
But
to
I remember
Canada.
we went to a lot of European countries too.
Yeah, we did.
Because what she would do, and actually, I remember you used to read a lot of books about traveling, and I always
Yeah.
thought it's because you wanted to travel.
Right.
I didn't realize that you were doing that so that, well, maybe you did want to travel
Yeah.
too, but now I realize because she was so detailed in these stories she told, part of what she was probably doing was gathering information, because how do you
Probably.
imagine telling stories for 2 hours a
We
day?
had-
I had to cough.
Yeah.
And you were very insistent between each change of position
That he had
that
to
I
cough.
cough, so I would like huff.
Yeah.
And
we-
until I cough.
Yeah.
Because you have to imagine, like, if you're doing
Yeah.
treatments for an hour,
Yeah.
and the last time you had treatments was 8 hours ago, you have congestion, but a lot of it ends up being kind of dry, irritating, and then you're producing, and then it's dry, irritating.
And when I went to take the class on how to give him his treatment, they were telling me that you have to try to make him cough 3 times after after each position.
Sometimes I just didn't want to cough
Yeah.
between.
I would bug
But
him.
you would,
and
she
I
would bug me, and she would be like, kind of withhold the story
Yeah.
until I coughed. And of
Until
course, I
I
wanted to
coughed.
hear the rest
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And so I would cough so that I could get back to the story.
Oh my goodness.
So it's
But
kind
it
of,
was it was almost a full-time job.
Yeah.
When they would come home from the park, I had to really wash their hands, wash their face, and a lot of time change the clothes of all the children, because I didn't want them to bring any germ at the park.
And another thing you did too is you had that room with the double glass sliders so that I could look at the kids playing in the back.
We built, we had a room, is Mark's room, built especially with big window slider, big, slide, so he could watch the children playing in the yard, but he had to stay in his room with his Weeble.
Oh, yeah.
Live the life you value with God's.
I will fight for you.
Check out our blog every Friday so you can see how we live
Live the life we value with cystic fibrosis.